Communication in today's period of time between devices of different vendors also is quite easy. You can transfer from an Apple device to the other devices by different applications. Apart from Apple, you can say with the same Android devices with the different vendors, Motorola, Samsung, HTC, and the other brands out there, Nokia. You can transfer from one device to another device. But was that so easy in 70s or 80s or before that? It wasn't. The problem was in that period when it was not introduced. I'm talking about the OSI model. It was being developed by ISO, International Standardization for Organization. It is an organization which developed OSI model in 1974, and after that a revolution came in the communication industry. It is the best model that has been ever developed to solve the problem for communication between the other devices. Like if you know French and I know Hindi or English, we can't communicate because we wouldn't be able to understand each other's language. The same problem was with the other vendors in that particular time, because every vendor has got their own method of designing their communication system. That's why OSI was being introduced as a standard set for designing the communication system so that all the devices can be able to communicate with each other. So in this video, we're going to be discussing about all these things. My name is Pratik Sharma. You're watching Spy Vision. Let's start. So guys, in this video, we will talk about OSI model. And first of all, let's see. Yeah, that's the diagram of OSI model. You can see it's a 7-layered architecture, and each layer has got their own functionalities. Now here's one thing that you have to keep this in your mind. As far as it's a normal human behavior that you're gonna see application layer as the first layer according to the serial number, but don't get confused, it's the 7th layer. As presentation layer is the 6th layer, session layer is the 5th layer, transport layer is the 4th layer, network layer is the 3rd layer, data link layer is the 2nd layer, and the physical layer is the 1st layer. Don't get confused with the serial, but for memorizing the OSI model in your mind, do it from the top to bottom, not from bottom to top. Don't go with the layer numbers, go with the serial 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It will going to be easier for you to memorize the OSI model in that case. Just for example, application layer is the 7th layer. So application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, and physical layer. These are the 7 layers, and each has got their own individual functionalities. What was the use of OSI according to this diagram? Now you can see here what was the need of the OSI, why it was developed. You can see in this diagram, as earlier in this video I told you about the reason why OSI was implemented, was being developed, sorry. You can see here 2 desktops, both are of same vendors. They are communicating, and the other vendor, one other vendor, and this is another vendor, they are not having a communication here. You can see a cross mark here. So that was the reason. It was just because, just like for example, let us consider this one as a Dell and this one as an HP or some other, or IBM maybe. This is a Dell computer. This is also a Dell computer. Both are of same vendors. They were able to communicate with each other because they had their own proprietary protocol for communication system. Now in this case, IBM has got a different, Dell has got a different. That's why they were not able to communicate with each other. That was the reason why OSI model was being developed. The OSI model was being developed by ISO, International Organization for Standardization, in 1974. It's a 7-layer architecture. Now, just to remind all the things till the video we have learned about. The OSI model was developed by ISO, International Standardization for Organization. It has developed OSI model in 1974. OSI model has got 7 layers: application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. These 7 layers you have to memorize from top to bottom. It will be going to easier for you to memorize from top to bottom because it's a human nature. The application layer is the 7th layer according to the OSI model, but you have to keep this in your mind while memorizing it. There is the first layer. It will be easier for you to memorize. That's the point of mine. It's not anything which is logical or anything about that. You have to just it's my own thinking that you should do it from application layer to physical layer. There you can see in this these 7 layers have been divided in 3 categories, you can say. Application, presentation, and session layer has been categorized in the upper layer, and they have been known as the software control layers because these layers are used to control the software of any function that has to be performed. Just like the 4th layer, transport layer, is known as the heart of the OSI. Heart of the OSI means it is the central layer. That's why it has been known as the heart of the OSI. It also it's the main function of this layer, the transport layer, is whatever function or a protocol is going on, it will going to decide that the data is going to transfer from which protocol, TCP or UDP. And the basic function of this layer is to it is to provide end-to-end connectivity between 2 points, sender and receiver. And let's move down to the last one. There are network, data link, and physical layer. These 3 layers are known as the lower layer and the hardware control layers. So these layers are used to control the hardwares. That's their functionality. They've got, all the layers have got their own specific task to perform in a certain manner, and we're going to discuss about that further. Let's move down to the next one. This is a diagram here that has been shown. Don't get confused with the router. Actually, I've placed this diagram just to make you guys understand how does an OSI model works. So there you can see it's a sender here, it's a receiver here. The sender is sending a data to the receiver So application layer is the first layer for the sender. Okay. The second layer is the presentation layer. The third layer is the session layer. The transport layer is the fourth. Network, then data link, then physical. And then it will be exerted from the system and moves to the next, to the receiver. And the first layer of the receiver that will receive that data will be the physical layer, not the application layer in that case. Application layer will be the last layer that will receive, by which the data will be received to the receiver. Just like application is the first layer for the sender, as the application layer will be the last layer for the receiver. So it is just moving like this. You have to memorize this, or you can understand also. It's a logical thing. There's nothing to memorize about that. Application layer, presentation layer, session, transport, network, data link, physical. Then moving through here. Now physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application. This is a step that is being performed by the OSI model to transfer a data. That is the function. These all layers are works according to their numbers. So for the sender, the first layer is the application layer, and for receiver, the last layer is the application layer. That's you have to that is what you have to think upon, and you have to understand this. So that is the method of data transfer according to the OSI model. And don't get confused by this router symbol. I put just this because I was thinking about transferring over the networks, but I think putting this router here has been might create a little bit of you can say a doubt in your mind. So don't get confused. Just think upon this as a straight link. Don't go with the just don't get confused with the router. Just think upon the basic here. Application is the first layer for the sender, and the last layer for the receiver is the application. Similarly, the last layer for the sender is the physical, and the first layer for the receiver is the physical. So you have to just think the numbers here, and don't get confused in the layer numbers here. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's you have to understand here. So I think that's it. That's it from this video. I hope you all have liked it. If you like, then give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for my future videos. The next video will be on the application layer, and we will discuss all the layers one by one. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye from here. Thank you so much.